Why did they come after you? Let's talk about the Reddit stuff.
Sure.
So first tell us the story, and then we'll talk about why it happened.
I'm really bad at telling the story, so please forgive me. But so on Reddit, I drew a series of comics that did really well in terms of votes. The way that Reddit works, if anyone doesn't know, you get upvotes and downvotes. Upvotes means everybody likes your thing, your post, and if you get a score of 0, that means lots of people downvoted it. So I drew a series of comics back in December of 2018. Long story short, one of them, they kept getting better and better scores until one of them hit the all-time record. And then the next comic I drew after that, the comic was about the mob going after comics creators. I have a certain comics friend who was raked over the coals by the mob, and they all enjoyed taking him down. So the joke was that, hey, come be our new king. So I, the new king of Reddit/comics, would sit on this new throne, but his dead body with spears that were upvote arrows were going through him. And it's like, okay, we're going to get rid of his body, and you can come sit on the throne and be our new comics king. So the next comic after that was, I was sitting there staring at the crowd, and I'm thinking, okay, so how do I entertain these people? And I drew as the punchline the hand circle game. And if anyone doesn't know, the hand circle game is, I guess I won't show it, but
the okay hand sign.
Yeah.
It's the upside down though. So it's the joke being like, I'll put it beneath my belt, and if you look at it, then I get to punch you in the shoulder.
Of course.
So it was an joke. It's like, I have no joke, therefore I'm going to play the hand circle game with everyone on Reddit. Hey, I get to punch you all in the shoulder.
Right.
That was my punchline. But they interpreted it as the okay hand symbol, which was prevalent at the time especially, and still is. They saw it as a dog whistle. They proceeded to basically scrutinize everything that I've ever put up online. They went to my Twitter. They started they're like, oh, he follows this, that in person, Jordan Peterson, Ben Shapiro, whatever. I followed left-leaning people as well, but they didn't care about that. They just said it's a dog whistle. We gave all these upvotes to a guy who is a crazy right-wing psycho, whatever. So the next day, they basically downvoted everything I posted, including more comics. It doesn't matter. I tried to explain myself, and I realized on Reddit you can't, because if they downvote you,
no one will see it.
They'll brigade you. Yeah. Your answers are invisible, basically. So basically, long story short, they ran me off the website. So for a while...
Like so in the context of what we were just talking about,
they assumed I was a crypto alt-right
I don't think so.
Dog whistler.
I don't think that's true.
I was in a high position.
I think it was just crabs in a barrel. This guy's climbing out, pulling back down.
That's very likely as well.
Because you said that the previous guy was on the throne, they went after him.
Yes. I guess he did too good too.
Yeah.
They wanted, anytime someone does too well on the internet or anywhere in society, it's like, hey, let's cut him down. Just
crabs in a barrel, man.
Yeah, that may have been it. And they just want an excuse to chop people like that down. So because I kind of called them out on it, I said, this is what you're going to do. I had already drawn the strip of them lighting me on fire. And then I put it up the next day. Like, I basically told you guys what you were going to do, and you did it.
Yep.
And then I reaped the fruits of that, and my career was ruined.
Oh, God.
I wouldn't say so.
Well, it's a weird story of how I got to where I am now. But no, for several months, I thought that was the end. And yeah, I was like, all right.
So then you just went the other direction and started drawing Joe Biden eating people. And, you know.
Well, that was an accident. But
you accidentally drew Joe Biden eating someone?
Well, that was, 18 months later, something like that. So I had been drawing comics still on the side, earning a few bucks here and there, drawing indie comics, basically. I have a series called Mary Sue that got crowdfunded on Indiegogo. It was pretty healthy. I had a little comic strip that kind of got me through that year. Some people were very kind to buy my books. And I found a new home on Twitter, I guess, by accident. I was drawing political strips, and they kept doing better and better. And then people kept just saying, hey, your comic strips are better than your indie comics, so keep drawing comic strips. And I draw my...
Though I think... which was the biggest one? Because was it the
The biggest one of
I'll
all
never
time
vote for
for
you.
me, yeah, I'll never vote for you. And he says, then I'm afraid you ain't black. He sucks out the blackness out of the lady and she falls over.
And now she's white. And then you did the Kanye West, but he like reverses it because he's got Trump's dragon energy.
He has dragon energy, yeah.
I love that one.
There's a whole series of these. And it's just it's just dumb. I don't think my comics are better than anyone else's, but I guess it just tapped into something and people responded to it at the right place, right time. We were talking about that earlier.
Just drawing Joe Biden with like his eyes are black and he's drooling as he raises his hand and says, I'm afraid you ain't black.
He wants that energy, I guess. Yeah, it's a good political comic I think is timely. I kind of compare it to like a ripe fruit. It's only funny for a day or two. And then if I draw the comic too late, it's not even worth drawing.
I don't know what the joke is in this one, but I love it.
Eating the Bernie girl?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's Bernie Girl. What's your OK Boomer or whatever her name is?
That series, all right, so it sucks to explain a joke because it's not funny anymore, but the joke...
Well, if you put it on Ian, you can see at least part of
Yeah, I
it.
did. I showed part of it.
I drew
There you go.
that one after he won. What do you call it when it's not Super
primary?
Tuesday, right? Right. He was chosen as the Democrat guy.
Right.
Yeah, the nomination.
So the punchline there is that he's absorbing Bernie supporters.
Oh.
Right. So
All I know is you drew a picture of Bernie,
Right.
Of Biden with gigantic crooked teeth eating a young woman.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And then whatever that is in the bottom right corner.
First he smells her.
Yeah.
Of course he smells her.
he unfortunately consolidated all of the Bernie supporters at the time. Nobody wanted Biden back then. We got to remember.
No, nobody wants Biden now.
Yeah.
No, for real, nobody does.
But
all the
they-
people who voted for him are complaining about him already.
They have to get in line behind the champion to beat the reigning champion who they hate. The heel in this wrestling match is Trump, and we have to support anyway, even if it's Kamala Harris. Everyone knows it's going to be Kamala
I really
Harris.
can't stand this system where we cult worship one person in the middle and everyone like circles around them and like
Humans,
But that's another simplification. The process started with a ton of people. And there are a bunch of different people supporting a bunch of different people, and then one by one, you find the one person everyone kind of
that you want to put on the throne.
You kind of, well, I mean, we're talking about just one of the offices of the 50-something thousand we have in this country. So
I would be happy to have like a council of people.
We do.
run
It's called the
show.
Supreme Court.
No, I mean as president, like 12 people to be the president.
But so the reason the founding fathers created 3 branches is because they made literally what you're describing. So
But I would like now the executive branch to expand and become 12 people functioning as the president.
well, the common citizen, I think, doesn't want to. They don't want to really run these high-level problems. They've got enough problems on their own, the family, work, and stuff like that. So we have to choose people to make these decisions for us. Hopefully, they're trustworthy. A lot of the times, it turns out when people climb to a certain level in society, it turns out they're almost all corrupt for some reason. That's a weird pattern. But we like to choose people to do our thinking for us because who has time to micromanage international affairs? I don't have time to study that.
the reason we have one president is that this is a specific branch designed for rapid response.
Yeah, I get that.
So it's like if someone's like, I'm going to fire a missile at you, and you had 3 presidents, they'd be like, what do we do? I say we do this. No, we do this.
But
We do. Oh no,
all the
missile's here.
non-rapid response stuff he does is a little excessive. Maybe
Like
we
what?
could have a council for like making policy or doing vetoes or
But
things.
that we do. It's called Congress.
Veto power is crazy. The one guy can veto something.
That's-
Like you
that's
should have to have a
fantastic.
group of people
It's
that have to
absolutely
decide
fantastic.
if that's going to be vetoed. It's too much power to put in
we
one person's
do.
hands.
It's called Congress.
No, then Trump can veto,
And then
their
Congress
moves.
does a 2/3 vote to override the veto.
But I don't like. Yeah, so you need a ton of people to override the president's
Excellent.
veto.
That's
I think you
wonderful.
should have to have a ton of people. Or
It's called checks and balances,
a group
and
of
it's a
people
wonderful
to
thing.
override Congress's motions too.
The courts can overrule them too.
But at least it's
checks and balances.
I mean, you would the Supreme
brilliant.
Court maybe.
It's brilliant.
You
Yeah,
need
yeah.
a court of people. We don't have one supreme judge.
No, we don't.
No,
that's
we,
why
we
have
have
3.
one supreme president. It's a little disgraceful.
Well,
I
it's
think.
designed
No,
to run.
disconcerting.
It's designed very, very well, actually.
I
But it's designed to
disagree.
run slowly is the problem. When you
Yeah.
have a crisis, you can't have the slow-moving machine.
But that's why you have a president
Yeah.
who can respond with war powers.
That's the argument.
But that's literally why they did it. When you have a direct democracy, you get tyranny of the majority, and you get slow response to a crisis. When you have a council of elders, then you have the learned bunch, but you still can't move quickly enough.
Now he's got the Supreme Court nomination power. That's a little extreme
Always.
for one person.
But
That should be a group of people.
The issue you're mad about is the Democrats. When Harry Reid took away the 2/3 requirement for a Supreme Court justice confirmation, Blame them for it. They changed the rules to manipulate the system to gain power, and it backfired on them.
I think the auxiliary war powers that George Bush gave the president with the Patriot Act's excessive.
Yeah, well, he didn't give it with the Patriot Act. Congress did.
Yeah.
So the issue is
ridiculous that one person has that kind of power.
So the problem isn't the one person; it's the legislative body that you are asking for, giving power over and over and over again, endlessly. And that's why the approval rating for Congress is like 20% or something.
Why do we have? I think it's both. The problem is both. I don't like that. There's like one person gets so much power, the most powerful person in the world for 4 years. And then the next person gets their sloppy chops to go be the most powerful person in the world. It's some nobody that didn't earn it. They just got voted in.
It's such a simplistic view. You could argue that like Chuck Grassley or Mitch McConnell are more powerful.
No, the president can order a drone bomb.
No, he can't. He needs approval of Congress to declare war.
Well, obviously
the problem
they don't.
is
No,
Congress,
not declare war or issue a drone strike.
He can't. Yes, he's not supposed to be able to do that.
I know.
And Congress had the power to levy war and granted ridiculous power to the president.
Well, that's too much power.
Yes, absolutely. But Trump has been curtailed every step of the way through lawsuits over and over and over again. Almost everything he's tried to do, he's getting jammed up.
I don't have a list of his executive orders. I'd like to get a list of.
They wouldn't even. They let Obama create DACA, and then when Trump was like, "Then I'll end DACA," you can't do that. Well, it's like, well, Obama created.
Obama had too much power too.
But so Trump has
Bush.
less power. Good. I'm glad he got scrutiny in the office. They went a little nuts with it. But the problem is, over time, the rules kept getting changed to make it easier for the ruling class that wanted the rhinos and the dinos, the Democrats and the Republicans. Their only mission is, can I be more popular than the other guy to get elected so I can get the keys to the castle? Then you get Lindsey Graham. This is the perfect example of this. Lindsey Graham says Trump should fight. He needs to fight this, and I'm going to donate, and I believe everyone should fight. And then he goes into the Senate floor and he fist bumps Kamala Harris and pats her on the back and walks away. He has no.
Why?
Because he doesn't actually care about Trump fighting for re-election. He wants people to think it so that they vote for him, and they did. And then secretly he's like, you go, Kamala. Congratulations. They don't actually care about you.
I don't like the system, man. They're getting bribed.
No, I don't like the people. But we got one of the best systems in the world. The problem is we got a bunch of bad people.
It's the worst form of government, except
No,
all the
isn't.
other ones that have been
right,
tried.
Yes. That's the what was it, Winston Churchill?
Yeah, Winston.
Oh, Winston.
And he's right. It can be improved.
Yeah.
We're kind of just spitting about how to.
But we have the process for amendments. The problem is, right now, you've had over a long period of time this war has been going on. This figurative war, whatever you want to call it.
The Middle East stuff.
No. The Democrats, like Harry Reid in 2013, saying we're going to change the rules so that we can pass whatever we want instead of compromising with Republicans.
Oh God.
And then Mitch McConnell said, "Mark my words, you will come to regret this, and probably sooner than you realize." And then now Trump's got 3 Supreme Court justices through because they changed the rules because they were power hungry and said, I could negotiate with you as we're supposed to do. No, we'll just all agree to change the rules because we have the majority.
And Congress can vote to give themselves raise. They
They do all the time, of course. All in favor of giving us more money? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. They do it all the time.
Insanity.
It's wonderful. I love it.
We were talking about this yesterday. I said I think we're on the brink of getting rid of that group of people, that representation style, and just start having more of a direct representation system.
I don't know.
But I don't think we can
Well,
because direct democracy doesn't work.
You would have to start a completely new country on some continent that hasn't been discovered yet, I would think.
Instead of like voting for someone that makes all the decisions in their own head, you could just vote for your segment of the decision. So
But to say they make all the decisions is just ridiculously simplistic.
But like, okay, 700,000 people vote for one person, and then that one person gets their say amongst the other 230 or whatever. Now, what if instead the 700,000 people got 1/230th of this choice? Yes or no? And then every 700,000 people gets 1/230th.
That's just called
of the
direct
choice.
democracy.
No, it's a direct representation. You cut out those people that can get bribed.
I think
Corruption's going to find its way in no matter what we do. The more checks and balances we have in place, the better. But unfortunately, when you get enough corrupt people into a system, they're going to invite their friends to be a part of it. Hey, let's also be on the take. And they have all the kinds of creepy... They get all kinds of... I learned the word compromat last year. Of compromising material. Man, they even if you don't want to vote for something, it's like, hey, we have this video of you eating Captain Crunch, and everyone hates Captain Crunch, and we don't want that to leak, do we? So you got to vote for, tricks. And corruption's going to find its way in no matter what. I think these systems have to be built with the human capacity for corruption, evil, if you want to use it that. But who gets to define what the word evil even means? The more. I'm sorry.
I think the issue is that the only people who really want to be in office are those who want power, and regular people who probably do a better job of it don't want to bother. Don't want to do it.
Even a lot of people who vote for a certain, if you have a vote, maybe they get a stack of paper. Like this, it's so thick, and it's like, who's going to actually read through all that?
Rand Paul.
I liked him.
He's like the only one.
That's a guy who I really wanted to vote
handful
for back then. Yeah, it's but most of them, it's just like, oh, let's talk about what the summary is, and I'll just vote whatever. They don't. That's the whole point of a republic, anyways. Like, I'm going to pick someone to do all that reading for me, so I can go and live my life.
I think we're starting to see this wave. I think both on the left and the right has a wave of new up and coming politicians who believe what they say.
Yeah.
And I might disagree with some of these lefties, but I respect them more than some of these fake plastic keys to the castle Democrats or Republicans. So on the right, you've got who's that woman who just won? She owns the restaurant. She's the gun lady.
Oh, her name's Lauren Boebert in
Yes.
Colorado.
Yeah, right. There's people like her. She really cares. She got politically active. She ran. She won. And you can see that someone like her, a regular person who wants to do something good, at least that's the impression that I get, compared to like these stodgy suit-wearing plastic politicians that don't actually care. You then have people on the left, like Nancy Pelosi. She does not want to do anything for anybody. She's awful. But then you get some of these young progressives who are running, and they really want to see legitimate change. And they're adamant when they say Green New Deal and Medicare for all. They really believe it's the right thing. And hey, you know what? I might disagree with a lot of how they want to go about it with like weird intersectionality stuff, but I can respect them way more. They actually want to do something because I think it'll help people. I mean, they say the path to hell is paved with good intentions, so you still have to push back on bad arguments. There's a big difference between like Nadler and like one of these upstart progressives. To be fair, I wouldn't even put AOC in that category because she's one of the worst. AOC is the perfect representation of the keys to the castle Democrats. She goes on social media, she finger snaps and clapbacks, and that's her whole thing.
I get the feeling that she's not speaking her own words. There's someone speaking through her.
Well, it used to be that way. It was it Saikat Chakrabarti?
And then he resigned or something like that. So who knows who's speaking through her now, but I don't trust. It's weird because it's kind of like taking a YouTuber and giving them political power. It's like she's an influencer more than because her district is like tiny, right?
I mean, she's got 780,000 people, but it's geographically small.
Right, but her influence is monstrous throughout everywhere. So she's more of an influencer in terms of YouTube than she's a little district in the middle of nowhere.
This is what I'm worried about in terms of how politics will happen in the future. Because she has so many followers, she can snap her fingers and raise an insane amount of money. That's it.
Maybe that's what they were looking for. There's some kind of, the internet age has spawned a new kind of politician star. That's a new and very scary. I mean, we're at the whim of, you want to talk about how scary Trump is. I mean, he could say something, at least he has a counterbalancing force. Whereas AOC, she can say something, mobilize her whole, all of her people that are backing her, but the biggest weapon that the right has is calling her dumb, and that's the stupidest strategy you can. You got the Shapiro types and Crowder and all those people. They're calling her names and stuff. It's like, bro, you're feeding her base. You're making her stronger by making fun of her, by calling her dumb and whatever. You have to take her very seriously. Biden, I don't take so seriously because it's silly, but someone.
But you know, to be fair, even if you made a video or like if Shapiro or Crowder did, and they said nothing to insult her and just said, you know, and Ben was like, I think AOC is absolutely incorrect on this point, and I respect her efforts to push for the Green New Deal, but you got to recognize these things are wrong. All the left is going to do is eat it up and say he's talking about AOC, and they're going to say really dumb things like she's not going to date you, Ben. Oh my God.
Well, remember when he asked to debate her, she said, "Are you catcalling me?
Right.
Give me a break."
But she makes her arguments on an emotional level. So it's like playing checkers versus chess, man. Like people eat up what she says because humans are fundamentally emotional creatures. The intellect is a thing that's like you have to be educated to even understand what the rational people are saying. You have to be willing. It takes effort. It's like a higher resolution way of perceiving the world. But the lower resolution way, the Nintendo 8-bit version, is the emotions. Appeal to the emotions. This person's bad. this is a scary thing. There's people suffering, and the only way we can save them is by doing this. And never mind that it's going to bankrupt the country. It's the right thing to do because it makes me feel better. It makes my guilt go
Trump?
away. No, just in general, like say universal basic income or something. I disagree with that. I think there's a million side effects that we don't want to happen because of UBI, let's say. It sounds good on paper. There's people that can really do a lot with that money.
It sounds like a 7-year-old's answer to a problem. If people are hungry, just give them money because then they can buy food.
Well, that's what food stamps are.
So it's like, but when we're talking about like COVID lockdown especially, the government should just tell everyone to stay home and not work and then give everyone money because then they can use the money to buy stuff. And then you say, yes, honey. But then if everyone's home, who makes the stuff you would buy? But like the food's at the store.
Money is a social construct.
Yeah.
No, but like I actually got into an argument with someone who said if we did a UBI if we did like a UBI for the lockdown, then people would have money to go to the store and buy stuff. And I was like, and what would they buy? Like, what do you mean they'd buy food? And who would put the food there? What are you talking about? Like the food's at the store. And I'm like, people put it there. And then where do the people get it from? The guy in the truck. And where does the guy in the truck get it from? From the people who put it in the bottles in the first place. And if you tell everybody to stay home, then you're not going to have stuff to buy.
It's really freaking scary, dude. They want mommy and daddy back. They're
do.
scared. They are de-aging the whole country. And we just want to feel safe and okay again. They want us to be dependent. I'm trying not to use strong language, but like they want us to be bottle drinking
fed?
out of the. Yeah, I wanted to use another.
So I absolutely have to clarify. I understand there are essential workers. Because that's the first thing they always say when they're like, dude, there are essential workers who are doing these jobs. It's kind of messed up. They have to. So they should get a stimulus too. And I'm like, dude, you can't have every single job be essential. The bottling plant, the dairy farm, the truckers, the manufacturing for the bottles to bring it there, the people working at the store. Because otherwise, you're just telling me that everything's essential. I guess, of course, DJs aren't or something like that. Fine. But the problem is your money becomes substantially worth less and there's less to buy. And the other problem is that because the supply chain got disrupted in the initial lockdown, there wasn't any milk. The dairy farmers had nowhere to send the milk to because the bottling plants had shut down because they got infected with COVID. And then they couldn't process the milk, so they just dumped it on the ground. And then the farms that had all the crops, they were like, we can't get anybody to pick it up or process it. So they tilled it back into the land and just rolled it over. So these people don't understand the economy is, it's a house of cards almost. I know that's been used in a negative way to mock the stock market, but it literally is like, it's a very, very delicately balanced system.
Supply chain for sure.
And if you take one piece out of it, other pieces start to crumple and fall apart. And we saw that earlier in the year when you couldn't, it was really difficult to buy basic things. I remember because of the supply chain disruption, you couldn't buy professional equipment. Like I was trying to get like a power cable for a camera, gone. This is crazy. This was only like 2 months ago. All the video game consoles gone from everywhere.
Even still,
Yep.
I hear it's just insanely
The most
difficult.
essential.
Isn't that crazy?
I know you don't need these things.
I know, I'm being silly.
But it's like that. Why couldn't we get a PlayStation? Because people couldn't make PlayStation because the supply chain broke.
Yeah, I ordered a bedroom set, and they were like, it'll be there in February. And I was like, are you serious? I ordered it in September. Give me a break. So I just
So they give you money. What do you buy with it? And so what's going to happen is the money is, I guess, potentially like mass deflation of some sort. If there's nothing to buy with the money becomes worthless. Property values are going to go down because the only thing you can buy are essential goods.
It's a perfect storm for a revolution, I would say. People are depressed at home. They need change.
They're broke. They've lost everything.
They're angry. They need someone to blame it on.
And the rich are getting richer. The poor are getting poorer.
I don't know. Maybe we should light some fires. I don't know.
That's what they're doing.
Gotta stay warm somehow.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. So come back to check us out when we go live. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell, and we are also available on all podcast platforms for free if you want to listen to us there. Thanks for hanging out, and we will see you all next time.